Greetings, this is Internet with Rock and Spot Comic Show with my weekly comic book rundown. We're a little bit late. These things happen. Anyway, so get things started. We got a decently sized number of books to get through. We'll kick things off with the Avengers Halloween special. As is a time-honored tradition from at least the big two. Various holidays, especially the larger, more marketable holidays, usually incur some sort of special one-shot issue. Well, here's Marvel. This is Marvel's Halloween special for the year. We got 5 short stories. The first one being The Eyes Have It, in which Matt Murdock is finally given ocular replacement surgery. But when he comes out, he begins to hallucinate. First seeing Bullseye about to kill Foggy. He throws a pair of scissors and ends up killing Foggy himself. Then Karen Page shows up, and then various others show up, all willing to drag him to hell. He gets a voicemail from his from the doctor that did perform the surgery, informing him that someone knows who he is, and that Matt's tear ducts are now full of a powerful hallucinogenic, and it will never wear off. And of course, it's revealed that the person who set this all in motion was Kingpin. After Matt pulls his own eyes out, we see Kingpin coming into the room with a barbed wire wrapped baseball bat. Next up, we've got Whatever Happened to the Richards Family. Wherein we get a rather different look at the a different way things could have gone with the Fantastic Four. The Reed, Ben, Sue, Johnny return from space, have their powers, and Victor Von Doom watches from Latveria. And so Doom then travels to New York to the Baxter Building, takes on the Four, and manages to take down Johnny, Ben, and Reed. The Avengers, of course, show up and imprison him, and Sue appears and asks just what gave them away. And Doom explains that they changed Ben Grimm into a deformed monstrosity, and he would not have been happy with his new physical form. Basically implying that 4 aliens took the place of the Richards family. Richards of, well, the FF. Then Sue shows Doom their true face while also floating a tiny force field up Doom's nose and into his brain. Just as the Sue impersonator goes to, well, conquer the Earth. Third story is The Thing from Another Time. Which focuses on Tony Stark looking for something that could potentially take down, well, his recently company, the company that was until recently his, Stark Industries. Something that could best the tech of Ezekiel Stane. And turns out that he lost contact with the retrieval team that had gone to pick up a weapon left in the ice back in the war. Whereas him and his team and his backup team arrived, they discovered that it's none other than Captain America. It's interesting to note that his backup team in this consists of Deadpool and Colossus. Cap promptly dispatches Colossus, and then Deadpool comes after him. And then, of course, Stark armors up and goes after Deadpool, only just to find Cap absorbing Deadpool. Very much like John Carpenter's The Thing. And then Cap and Tony duke it out a bit, and it basically turns into the end of said film. And two of them waiting to freeze to death. Next up is Punisher the Opera. Interesting. By Jay Baruchel. Of course, set in Paris, 1881. It's basically a Victorian version of the Punisher story. Right down to the killed family. But it gets combined with, of course, Phantom of the Opera, which actually makes for a neat look. finally, we have Haunted Mansion, in which a couple of trick-or-treaters come upon a dusty old mansion with a little sign above it says Xavier School for the Gifted. And one of them falls through some loose, a couple of them fall through the floor and end up in the danger room. And all holograms of all the ex-villains are there and are promptly taken care of by Wolverine. Oh, okay, not holograms, it's training robots. Though it looks like maybe it's not actually Logan that saves it, but rather the ghost of Logan. And that was the Avengers Halloween special. Though calling it the Avengers Halloween special is a bit off the mark. I'd probably go with Marvel Halloween special. Anyways, next up we've got Iron Hammer #2. Where we left off, Sigurd Stark, when attacked by the forces of evil Dark Elf Malekith, he began to recall realms beyond his reckoning, worlds of elves, dwarves, and gods. Well, Sigurd almost died in the attack, but his life was saved when he donned an incredible suit of armor and became Iron Hammer. So the story begins with Sigurd making an oath to avenge his dead friends and kill Malekith. And then Heimdall, a heuristic enhanced imaging macro-digital awareness for logic and logistics, the operating system for the armor, manages to, of course, open the Bifrost and send Iron Hammer through to it. As he crosses the Rainbow Bridge, however, he remembers that he is Stark Odin's son. His father, Howard Odin, chief executive of the Aesir, basically banished him. He also remembers his friends, Pepper the Wise, Tony the Grim, and Rhodey the Bold, and of course, his foster brother, Stain. A fight between the two is what leads to Howard Odin banishing Stark Odin's son, making him Asgardian no more, stripping him of his memory, and leaving him on Earth. As he looks around, he notices that Malekith has imprisoned all of his family and friends in transparent Uru, as well as taken the 10 realm rings. 10 realm rings. The ring of Alfheim is a white light blast. From Jotunheim, a frost ray. Vanaheim, a punch ray. Niflheim, mist of illusion. Asgard, Odin power beam. Heaven, super speed aura. Nidavellir, matter building beam. Midgard, electric blast. Muspelheim, flame blast. Svartalheim, black light blast. Though Ironhammer notices that some of the rings are a bit dim, as if they need recharging. And it is soon revealed that Stain has also allied himself with Madam Hell and Malekith. Ironhammer apologizes for the way he treated his foster brother. And Howard Odin makes sure that Stain knows that while Stark Odinson was on Earth as Sigurd Stark, he was a mere mortal and nothing more. So Malekith decides to once again take another shot at Ironhammer, this time using blast from the Odin Force ring. However, Sigurd opens the Bifrost at just the right moment and manages to target the blast at the transparent Uru cell holding three of Howard Odin's finest warriors. Ugh. The Warrior Machines 3. Though they are quickly re-imprisoned. Pepper the Wise and a glacier of ice from Jotunheim. Tony the Grim has her mace set on fire from the very heart of Muspelheim. And Rhodey the Bold is put once again in another cell of transparent Uru. This, of course, has caused Malekith to be distracted, so that Ironhammer can be close enough to hit him in the face with the hammer. And Ironhammer promptly explains that the remaining rings aren't going to be much of a problem for him. And so he says he'll do anything to, and Malekith tells Ironhammer he'll do anything to avoid death. And so Ironhammer asks him to return Algrim Vanko and Atri the Dwarf to life. That is something that he cannot not do, however. And thus he is killed. Stain leaves. And the Odin Force ring is returned to Odin. And Ewan Stark, having decided to remain as such, ends up making out with Madam Hell as the two, as he feels that many a time in recent years he's brushed it against her lips more than a few times. And so the story ends. Fairly sure that he'll be popping up in Infinity Wars #5 to help Loki and Emma Frost out, as well as to meet Soldier Supreme. All right, next on the list we got Old Man Hawkeye #10. Where we left off, Hawkeye, having teamed up with Kate Bishop, the other Hawkeye, are on their way to Canada in the hopes of finding Moonstone. We start off near the Canadian border, and the Hawkeyes are lost when a Sentinel arrives. They manage to take down. And apparently they've been being followed by a group who are being somewhat mutated by Moonstone, or at least by the energy of her Moonstones. And so they go with the group. At the border, Marshall Bullseye manages to get himself a method of transportation by killing 2 of Red Skull's border guards and taking a snowmobile that they had. Moonstone's village, which is listed as being in the middle of nowhere, Moonstone and Hawkeye are reunited. It turns out that the Moonstones are consuming Moonstone. Kate makes a crack about asking about the fact that, well, Moonstone and Clint slept together for a while. Turns out that Zemo promised Moonstone her own spoils, but when the Red Skull developed territories, she was conveniently forgotten. As for the Sentinels, Zemo sent those after her after she tried to have him killed and failed. So the Hawkeyes managed to kill Carlos Sullivan, as well as most of her followers. Though they have, and Kate figured out a way to possibly figure out where Zemo's at. And at the end, at the decommissioned Weapon X facility where Baron Zemo's at. Avalanche wants to show him a breakthrough. They managed to replicate the super soldier serum and distilled enough for a total of 101 doses. And they've made their first super soldier. Of course, what's interesting to note is that it looks very much like the super soldier serum that Hawkeye was being offered. Or it looks like that's the super soldier serum that Hawkeye was taking to New York in Old Man Logan. And it most likely is. Moving on to West Coast Avengers number 3. The issue begins with Tiger ripping the roof off of the team's headquarters at dawn, as Brodok is aware that the Avengers were definitely playing him. Then Tiger pulls Kate out of her room, and Fuse turns into vibranium by, as it turns out, his piercings are all made of vibranium. That way he's always got something strong to replicate. Then America gives him a fastball special, or, well, makes him the fastball part of the fastball special. As it turns out, Brodok has sent a handful of creatures to assault LA. Which leads to one of my favorite moments, or my favorite line in the issue. Quentin Quire asking Hawkeye, Clint, if he has a lot of dreams about giant monster women. And Hawkeye saying he refuses to answer that on the grounds that the answer is yes. And so Quentin manages to undo the brainwashing in Tigra, and then they realize that the rest of the giant monsters are the victims of Brodok. And of course, more civilians are getting in the way of them trying to save the day. Brodok seems to reveal to Gwenpool that he is, yeah, he's MODOK with a new body, and yeah. Kate goes to Advanced Image Mechanics, leaving the rest of the team to take care of the monsters and, well, Brodok. Of course, Brodok then shows up at AIM and decides that he's going to make yet another giant monster, this time out of Kate. Tiger comes to, and she fights off the giant monster, which is actually really cool. And they realize that there's yet another giant monster that's going to be entering the fray. Kate Hawk, complete with a gigantic bow and arrow. Yep, because that's going to be a thing. And the reasoning for Kate going to advanced digit mechanics in the first place was because, well, mad scientist types can't help but but come up with some manner to reverse whatever it is they've done. Moving on to Old Man Logan number 50, which is the final issue of the series, though it's just going to become a 12-issue series called Dead Man Logan. Why not just keep it at Old Man Logan for the next 12 issue as well? Whatever. So where we left off, he was going toe to toe with the Maestro, about to shoot himself up full of Regenix. And before he can do so, Maestro smacks him and knocks Regenix out of his hand. Their fight continues, and Joshua, having been shot, explains what kind of, hey, this isn't us, and that we've heard on the one person who's trying to help us. They take him to a doctor. But sadly, Joshua dies. Maestro is informed that one of the townsfolk is trying to start up a rebellion, helping Logan and whatnot, and and the guy who shot Joshua says that Logan told Joshua he was trying to find some sort of machine, so everybody was something out of a sci-fi movie. Of course, Maestro comes for him, and the town finally turns on Maestro, and Logan finally manages to get shot up full of Regenix, and goes after Maestro himself. It turns out that it's Maestro's time travel machine that he's looking for, which initially was Doom's, but travels through both time and alternate dimensions, but whatever. This, of course, led to the first meeting between Maestro and Old Man Logan when Maestro passed through the timeline that Old Man Logan calls home. So Maestro says, "Hey, see you. Go through. I'll send you home." Logan counters with, "Hey, you first." Though, yeah, not anything remotely resembling a plan that Maestro has. So Maestro destroys the machine. Their fight continues. And it ends with Logan cutting off Maestro's head. And saying, once again, all of his problems seem to start and end like this. Him standing over the body of an old friend, the dead body of an old friend. An old friend sent off to the Aether by his own hand. And that's when the regeneration wears off, and Logan lands face first in the snow. And the issue ends. Though, it's not the end of things for Old Man Logan, as, like I said, Dead Man Logan will be coming out later on this month. Alright, we'll follow these up with X-Men Black, Emma Frost. So, Emma meets up with the X-Men at Walmart. Yes, at Walmart. It was Rogue's idea because she thought it would be funny. And the X-Men fit in at Walmart, of all places. Also, it was a neutral place to meet. And a place where they wouldn't draw notice, so. Anyways. Turns out Emma Frost wants to get rid of the Hellfire Club, and she wants the X-Men's help. Magneto, has done the heavy lifting already, while trying to find Emma Frost earlier. So, decided that, yeah, well, they'll help. So they go after specific portions of the club. With Frost going after Sebastian Shaw himself. So, of course, her and Shaw have themselves a nice little throwdown. But it turns out that Emma's poisoned him. A paralytic agent that should leave him unable to move for days. Of course, turns out that Emma doesn't want to get rid of the Hellfire Club, but rather take it over, with herself as the new Black King. And so, just people show up to give the X-Men each a basket with wine and various other accoutrements, and a letter. It reads, "Dear friends, here's what I've learned about grief. It is a violent thing. It simmers under your skin. Their name constantly crawls at the back of your throat, clawing for purchase to make a shrieking escape just because you are so wretchedly desperate to hear it spoken aloud again, even just once. You will live this way for months. Grieving burns away a part of you, and what grew there once never will grow again. But the good news is that you will eventually find there are new directions for you to still grow in, to go in. In this way, sorrow's method of self-immolating can actually be quite beautiful. As I sat with more and more grieving members of the Hellfire Club, I realized that we were all just hungry for one thing: change. I've been asked to provide that. Everything that I said to you about the Hellfire Club was true. What has changed is that it is now under new management. Thank you for understanding. Yours sincerely, Emma Grace Frost, the Black King. And so ends her story. Now we get the conclusion of X-Men Black Apocalypse. So Apocalypse has managed to be reborn. And he realizes that he's still on Earth, and he's been on Earth all along. And in fact, the island, this is simply a portion of the island that has become accustomed to him, complete with the creatures. Which he also realizes part of his DNA must have ended up in them because of how quickly they have evolved and mutated. But basically, the Finch imbued his superior genetic makeup within every molecule on the island. And so he takes up the creatures and with the help of the Finch destroys the island in its entirety. Or so he thinks. So there is at least a small undersea remainder. Now supposedly these 6 stories are supposed to set the stage for the upcoming Uncanny X-Men relaunch, and guess we'll see. Anyways, moving on to Multiple Man number 5 of 5. That's right. After today, we don't have to worry about there being a Multiple Man series anymore. So, where we left things off, Madrox showed up with his army. And he kind of also said that he just said that he hates everyone who isn't him. But right now, though, he quickly says that he is happy to see the X-Men. Of course, when called on that, he says, "Do I contradict myself?" Very well, I contradict myself. And yeah. The group of time-traveling Madroxes blow up. Courtesy of Bishop, just to be on the safe side. At least Bishop manages to blow some stuff up. Temporal remote detonator. But the group of Madroxes keep on going through time, and they go back to the present, where Emperor Madrox and his hordes are fighting the X-Men. and they duke it out, and so of course the two Madroxes decide that the best thing for them to do is absorb one another. And while they try to help, or well, Madrox tries to make a plan, it promptly mucks up because the Duke army kind of realizes, hey, that's not the kind of thing that our Emperor would say. And so Hulk Madrox kills the Prime Madrox, which leads to killing all the other dupes that were present. Until the dupe who was searching for Tony Stark returns. Explains it. So in the future, there's this whole big thing. This weird guy becomes an evil dictator, and I was sent forward in time to save the world or whatever. So he got sent to the future to find Tony Stark and recruit him. But the future is huge. The whole world is real big, and you could have been anywhere. And well, Madrox couldn't find him, so he got a job at a bar, which was great. Customers were fun, right on the beach, drink all you want. It was great. He left when the world took a real turn toward not fun. Ended up with a M on his face, much like Bishop. So he went to where he started from, and oh, that was gone, so he came to the present. And he also promptly picks up, he does manage to pick up the remnants of the vaccine that or with the serum that Beast made. So at least you still got Madrox running around. Yay! Okay, that's maybe not exactly the something should be a yay, but still, yay! Alright, moving on to extermination number 4. So, where we left off. X-Force was fighting young Cable. Ahab was fairly certain that the Nightcrawler turned Hound had killed Cyclops, but he had to be sure. And the X-Men were regrouping as well. So we start off with Ahab taking the Pequod down to Cerebro. Cannonball arriving at the Xavier Institute with an unconscious Shatterstar, but who's also been turned into a Hound. The idea being that maybe Dr. Reyes can unhound the hounded ones. Okay, back at Cable's safe house in Jackson, New Jersey. X-Force is trying to free the temporarily displaced original X-Men that are held in stasis and by Cable, and also kill Cable, young Cable. But Jean manages to stop them all, and kind of, okay, here's what's... Turns out that young Cable killed old Cable because he wasn't doing his job. Turns out Cable was supposed to keep the timeline in order by squashing any anomalies, like, say, the original 5 X-Men being dragged into the present when they were teenagers. That's an anomaly, I'd say. But he got sentimental, and so teenage Cable retired him. And teenage Cable takes out his telepathy blocker, just so that Jean Grey can know for certain that yes, this is the truth. And it turns out that the X-Men, as he puts it, the X-Men are so obsessed with fixing the future that they're willing to change the past without a thought of the consequences. Yet it's not just the big battles that matters, it's the ripples of the pond. Every moment, every fight matters. And once you pull away one facet of the past, undo everything that one person has done, everything changes, and not for the better. Battles you'd won are now lost, because you are no longer a whole. Those losses turn society against you in a way that is irreparable. Man turns against beaten sooner. That gives it an earlier, stronger rise to the Sentinel program and then the Reaver virus, which of course damns mutant kind, which brings about an earlier, deadlier end of the X-Men, all because the temporarily displaced 5 refused to go back to the past. Of course, Boom Boom remarks that, this is a house of horrors that kids got here. The real Cable would have done this. And he explains that, couldn't send Angel back with cosmic fire wings. It has to be the same as it was to begin with. So he took Mimic's wings and grafted them onto Warren. Though Mimic kind of had explains that he would prefer that Cable had asked. If he had, he would have said yes. Meanwhile, at Cerebro, Ahab shows up with his hounds which include Logan, Rachel, and Nightcrawler, all ready to kill Cyclops. Jean, of course, says to protect Cyclops at all costs. X-23 says she's going to vivisect Ahab for what he did to Logan. Yeah, that's X-23. Manon and Maxine, the two children that basically the Trojan horse that Ahab set into place for the X-Men, turn Honey Badger into a hound as well. And they do everything they can to defend. Then X-Force, including Teenage Cable, as well as temporarily displaced Angel, Iceman, and Jean, show up and save Cyclops from, and Mimic, And they managed to save Cyclops from Nightcrawler the Hound. And so, but Cyclops decides that because of what Ahab did to Bloodstorm, he is going to pay. He goes after him while firing his optic blast at him. Ahab throws a harpoon, which gets him, which bails him through to a wall. So the issue ends. Now, of course, there's always the possibility of, some potentials there are healers. Yeah, that's the main thing I'm looking at is there are healers, there are doctors. Yeah, Cyclops doesn't necessarily have to die. Anywho, last of this week's haul is actually a reissue of an older issue. What if Legion had killed Magneto? Much like the reprint of What If the Alien Costume had bonded with Spider-Man. So, in this reimagining of things, instead of trying to kill Magneto later in life, Legion instead goes after Magneto in the waning days of World War II. And this time, without Xavier there to get in the way of Legion killing Magneto, well, it happens. And Magneto is killed by Legion's hand. However, he learns quickly that his mother dies before she gives birth to him because Magneto isn't there to help Charles. And so in the present, we see that the X-Men are celebrities. And they are actually run by Forge. So the X-Men are having practicing against facsimiles of the Hellfire Club. As apparently the Hellfire Club and the X-Men are the two public mutant related organizations. Basically, it's supposed to be a choreographed fight between the two groups, and then they make nice, and hey, it's But this is the point where we learn that yes, it's not. They're no longer Xavier's X-Men. They are Forge's X-Men. At the Hellfire Club, a discussion of acquiring Moreau mutation. The Moreau mutation research facility on Genosha is brought up, and Warren, shoots it down, though. they are suddenly attacked by a group of mutants. Now, a funny thing that should be pointed out, amongst the group that attacks the Hellfire Club is, of all people, Polaris, who shouldn't exist anymore. We've also got Sabretooth, Pyro, and a few various others. Of course, Kandra and Gideon, part of the Hellfire Club, end up siding with the newcomers, including, like I said, including Pyro, who ends up killing Iceman. Not sure if that's supposed to be Rogue or what, but of course it's revealed that Gideon and Kandra are working with Apocalypse. Meanwhile, in Anchorage, Xavier goes to visit his two former students, Jean and Scott, as well as his niece and nephew, their children, Nathan and Rachel. And of course, he has a mission for them, but they want nothing to do with it. While the X-Men are having their bid in DC, they're suddenly attacked by the forces of Apocalypse. Jean and Scott show up in the nick of time, and manage to save the day, though Xavier manages to take down Apocalypse, psychically stop Apocalypse, and at the cost of himself. And then Jean goes full on Phoenix, and we find out she killed hundreds of thousands of people that day. Meanwhile, the school is reopened, though closed to the public. And young mutants begin to arrive to learn how to use their powers. Though there are others that don't share Xavier's dream. Wolverine, Psylocke, Gideon, Callisto, Avalanche, various others. And that's where it ends. And that is it for this week's haul. Promising that freaking retro review of Halloween 2, and it will happen. Anyway, as always, thanks for watching. Feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, and Patreon in the description box down below. As Rock Spock signing off, saying, live long and rock hard.